Hi, my name is Elise Wallbridge, and today is the 10th of November 2024. My background is I grew up for the most part in Canada and at about age 8 moved to Switzerland. And I was very fortunate to grow up in these places with lots of beautiful scenery, gorgeous mountains, and unfortunately it made me entirely interested in people. I think from moving around a lot, I really felt aware of how tenuous interpersonal relationships can be. And maybe I felt a little lonely, and it made me super interested in depicting people. Now I work in film and TV and paint and draw when I can, which is hopefully more and more. But I think this interest in film and TV and in a different form of art, a very collaborative form of art, is really influencing the way I view color and the way that art can be shown to people. My biggest influences, this is a really difficult question. I think there's so many people that I see that make amazing art that influences me, probably without even knowing, but plenty of people that I make note of and that I know have changed the way I view painting and drawing. A couple of people that come to mind are Nicholas Uribe, Ruprecht von Kaufmann, John Singer Sargent. I think Caroline Walker is a phenomenal artist who depicts the everyday. I would also like to mention a couple of people that are outside of painting and drawing, but who have a huge influence on the way they portray storytelling and through color. Ari Aster's films, they have a certain playfulness, and they really push reality to another level, which is something that I'm really fascinated by, the editing of the everyday. So maybe also Julia Ducournau, who directed Raw and Titane. Those films are really fantastic films, horror films that kind of have elements of the everyday mixed in with quite, I guess I would say, out there elements that, again, I think the playfulness, along with being interested in just as much the things that are really common, really fascinates me, and I think they do it incredibly well. Another person that I think really influenced me recently was I watched the film Anora, and the color in that film was just so delicate, but at the same time there was these loud neon scenes, and balancing that with the story, I think it really elevated the story. The colorist of that film is called Alistair Arnold. Yeah, there are so many more people that really influence my work, but I don't think we have time to list them all, so those will be it for now. What am I focusing on right now? I think because at the moment I'm working in film and TV and working in the color department and seeing just how much color can be pushed and how the relativity of color is so important. I'm really interested in how that can be used in painting and drawing, and how much especially the relativity of color can really change the feeling of a painting. I'm trying to kind of experiment with that in my work. I also am trying to rediscover more experimentation in my work. I think it can feel difficult to not just paint something you know is going to work, rather than allowing yourself to make mistakes. So I'm trying to make more mistakes at the moment. The biggest challenges of being an artist, I think, I can't speak for everyone, but for me at the moment, one of the biggest challenges I'm facing is finding the time to allow myself to make mistakes, allowing myself to experiment, allowing myself the time to not just create artwork, but do all the admin associated with being an artist. And that can be really difficult when you've got so many other facets of your life that need time and attention. So I think right now I'm trying to find that balance, and I think, to be honest, that balance will never be perfect, but I'm hoping that through time I'll get better and better at balancing not just my everyday life, but also my art practice and, you know, all my other interests outside of art that can influence how I make my art. If I could give any advice to my younger self, it would be to just keep making. I think it can be really tempting to find a reason to make something, but I think sometimes you just need to start and the reason will become apparent later. Keep making. Oh, and also I think finding an artistic community and keeping up with it, you know, go to life drawing classes and keep finding people who also make art to talk about things with. I think those would be the pieces of advice I would give to my younger self. Have I tried any unconventional mediums or techniques? Well, I used to try a lot more when I was still figuring out exactly what suited what I was trying to make. But recently, really recently, I've been experimenting with slow dry medium for acrylic painting and doing my sketch layer with this slow drying medium so that kind of the entire painting starts running and slipping off of my surface. I think it allows me to be a little less precious about it, knowing that this sketch is almost going to be, people say that a sketch is like the skeleton of your painting, but I think holding on so tight can really limit what the painting can be. So you can always sketch over it, and allowing this slow drying medium to kind of run off the canvas or the material, the surface, really allows me to be a little less precious about my sketch and allow the moments of painting that were good in the initial stages to shine through to the final painting. Do I listen to music when I paint? Yes, I do. I listen to every kind of music. Normally, I just put my entire music library on shuffle and see what comes up. I think I use music as more of a way to not get distracted by, you know, the sounds of the washing machine finishing and feeling like I need to go and hang my laundry. I use it as a way to kind of focus in onto this moment and maybe allow myself this little space, this safe space to create, both within the everyday but also outside of it. I think also, you know, at times I'll notice that I forgot to put the music on and I'm painting, and those are wonderful times because I've been so focused and leaned in that it's been a great session of painting. But I think there are times where you need to get out of that flow state and really think about every single mark you're making. And I think music can actually be really useful for that. It can be a way to focus and a way to unfocus, if that makes any sense at all. the best reaction someone's had to my artwork, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think a lot of the time I try to focus on the process of making and not the result. I think it's really easy to feel discouraged if you focus on the result of painting rather than the process of painting. Obviously, I still do hope that a nice piece of art comes out the other side, but it's also, painting is such a personal experience for me that it can be quite scary to get people's reactions. It feels incredibly personal to get someone's reaction to painting, so maybe I am just avoiding that. I think any nice thing people have said about my paintings has been really appreciated, but I can't think of one that stands out. What do I hope people take away from my artwork? I hope that people take away maybe a sense of comfort in that the everyday can be lonely and it can be difficult, but it's worth recording and it's worth looking at. But to be honest, I think whatever people take away will make me happy. I think people take away whatever is really personal to them. For example, I went and saw the painting of St. Andrew by Giuseppe de Ribera, and seeing that painting, I wasn't struck by the subject matter necessarily, but by the treatment of it. It felt tender, it felt loving, it was just beautifully made, and that really, really had an effect on me. So I don't know what the intentions of that painting were, but I think what I took away from it is valid. So whatever people take away from my artwork, I will be very pleased if they take anything away. Thank you so much for listening. My Instagram is elise.wallbridge_art. I will be putting a couple more details of some of the films I've colored on there and sharing them on my website as well. My website is elisewallbridge.com. Please reach out if you've got any thoughts or want to talk about anything. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen.